gotta believe.
Hello, I'm Clinton Yu. I'm the Vice President of GDG, Game Developer Guild, in case you're wondering. And next to me,
I'm So-Won Park. I'm the president of the Game Developer Guild.
Yeah, this is our first podcast, and we'll just be asking some really basic questions. So, Clinton, what is the purpose of the GDG? If you had to summarize it.
So basically, we're trying to help students to make games. Like we all had this thoughts of, oh, it would be nice if I can make a game.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know where to start. So we're having a club to help people to gather around, to share their interests and help them to start making their.
yeah, and GDG, we take names and make games. Right now, we're currently focused on teaching, but we also been looking at contacts in the industry and growing our own membership to make sure we get lots of collaborative efforts going on.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So, when you say contacts in the industry, anyone in particular, or
Okay.
or are we breaking NDA here?
No, there's no NDA. Ben Tuhui, Ben Kenobi, Tuhui Kenobi. He's one of the big names in game development previously in New Zealand. He used to be based in Auckland, but now he's moved on to, I believe, Whangarei, to stay with his family. But before, he used to run AUT's Game Developer Club, and also runs the biggest New Zealand game jam annually, which is Kiwi Jam.
Yeah, that's right. Hasn't it been called off Kiwi Jam? Is it because of the corona?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty unfortunate, this whole coronavirus thing, but
Yeah, that's true.
hopefully we will be able to run a remote game jam,
That'll be...
and everything should be fine from next year onwards.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Sorry guys, I just got distracted because I got up to a bit in Mega Man where I am now dying. I'm dying horribly. So how did you guys get involved in this? But like, what was the way your story, so to speak, of how you got involved in all this? As you're both the guild master and VP, respectively, of the GDG.
So for me, I wanted to make games and had an idea of creating a game developing club for UOA.
Okay.
But then I was like, oh, but I wasn't too confident of if I can do it myself. And I told it to my friend, and I kind of dragged them into helping me make a club. So that's basically how I started.
And I joined after the club actually went public.
Okay.
So
How long after? Do you know? Or...
I think it was like a year after. In fact,
I think it was
right after they created the club.
Okay. So
Yeah, so
you've both been around
2017, I
for
believe.
quite a while then.
Yeah, and made the club in 2017, I believe. You
It was
could
the
give a
end
bit more
of
detail.
2018, but it was officially out on 2018.
Yeah, that sounds
I
about right.
think-
Because I think I hooked up with the club in 2019, I think, give or take.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, how I joined the club, 2018, there was Club Expo, and then, surprise, surprise, first game developer club in University of Auckland.
Really?
So
it was
I
the
tried
first
it.
one.
Yeah, our club was basically making or playing games more than making games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the game club.
Yeah. Oh.
But I wanted to make games, so I joined.
All right. So, what actually happens in the GDG for? Because I know, but let's give some context to our viewers here.
Alright, so for Game Developer Guild, we have 3 things mainly. Each week of the semester, we do one of these 3 things. The first one, tutorials, that's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
We teach our members how to do basic Unity things, gaming tips and tricks, how to make things go together in Unity, as well as art, coding, building the game and running it.
Okay.
The second thing is show nights. So this thing was actually developed pretty recently.
Our favorite nights, I believe.
Yeah, it was a pretty recent idea. we chose to implement this year. Basically, people ask questions for tutorials during tutorial nights, during show nights, and we also just chill and share game dev progress. That's what we hope to do. It's still a pretty fresh idea, and
Yeah.
people have yet to take to it, but it will get there in time.
Sure,
And
yeah.
third, high-paced events, game nights, playing games.
Yeah, favorite one, playing
Nothing else.
Smash.
Yeah. Game night's been on since 2018, and it's always pretty hype.
Yeah, what was the last? I think you get prizes for that. We used to, didn't we? The last one was like a $50 Steam voucher, wasn't it?
Oh, I believe that was. No, actually, I think that was the second one last year, I believe. But yeah, there's this competition to see who can be the best in Smash, and as I'm exec, it was kind of unfair for me to give the award to myself.
Yeah.
So I gave it to my friend who beat me fair and square at 3-0. So yeah, he squashed all of us, to be honest. He's
Yeah, I think
that friend of
I
mine's
think
actually.
I got up to the semi-finals when that happened, give or take. And I lost.
to be honest, I don't think that was pretty fair, considering my friend is one of the top 20 New Zealand players.
Yeah, that
I
doesn't
believe.
seem fair. Like, it's like, oh yes, you are a small child, now beat the man with a big gun. That's the equivalent of it. You should. That's an awful thing you did there.
Yeah, I was suggesting he handicap himself, but he was like, no, I don't believe in handicaps. No mercy.
Yeah, we have to be. The children have to be punished, huh?
Yeah. Oh man.
So what kind
So,
of? Yeah, but yeah. What was his main again? It would have been.
That was Lucina.
Lucina. Oh god! Of course it was a
Oh,
fire.
that's his.
Of course it was a Fire Emblem character. Of course it was. It couldn't be anything other than a Fire
That was his past. That was his second main. So, yeah,
What was
he had
his
two mains. First, Joker. That's how he got into top 20.
Yeah, Joker wouldn't have been out for that long, wouldn't he? He would have been out for like half a year, give or take.
Yeah, but he is quite the Persona fan, so
Fair
he took that
enough.
Joker all the way to the upper echelons in New Zealand. Smash playing.
Ah, God. If he wanted to handicap himself, he should have chosen random.
Pichu.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Always trying to get Pichu, yeah.
He did play random for a while. But
Yeah, I did Corrin, because Fire Emblem characters in Smash are OP. So, speaking of programming, though, getting back onto the topic somewhat, what particular games are you guys hoping to make with the GDG? Anything, like, genre-wise, or...?
I think mine would be like horror.
Any particular influences, or...?
The Witch's House.
Witch's
Game
House?
where you can die. Yeah, do you know it?
I have probably heard of it. No.
no, I've seen a bit of this through some random Wikipediaing.
I'm not Wikipediaing at the moment because I am in the middle of playing a game, so probably not the smartest move.
Alright, but since you mentioned it the first time, of course this game surely means a lot to you, so I had to do a little bit of side research.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I kind of usually tend to avoid horror games, but I can see how it will give an impression on you in.
Oh, it's quite
I mean-
interesting. And it's just like a little surprise element to it.
Yeah, that twist at the end, and the Easter eggs.
That's quite interesting because the game that I think a lot of people think of when they think of horror is Silent Hill these days.
I guess I'm old. Cry.
You're not that old. Silent Hill was like in the 2000s. I mean, and I am dead. I died in Mega Man. I feel shame.
Since Alex would like to know a bit more about this, perhaps you should explain a bit about
the
this
premise
horror game.
Yeah, just explain the premise to me a bit and see where we go.
Wait, do you want spoilers?
Basic spoilers. What? Sure, why
Okay,
not?
spoiler warning, guys.
Spoiler warning for a how old game?
I don't know. Let me just search up.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea because, as I said, I'm in the middle of playing Mega Man, and that's That requires a lot of concentration.
All right. Well, Grapefruit is researching a bit. But if
2012.
ooh,
2000.
So it's not that old.
Yeah. No, I think Silent Hill's older than that, to be honest. But yeah, no,
I
that,
think
yeah. But what's the basic idea
I
of the
think-
game? What inspired you about it?
I don't know. Things was like unexpected. Like you don't expect this the story to go on like this, and then like, surprise.
Okay, so it was the story elements that got you.
And there's also a lot of ways to die.
As typical, in a
yes,
as
typical.
typical in a horror game, I think that's a very.
all right.
There's like multiple endings as well.
Really?
Yep.
What game does that remind me of? That reminds me of a different game. It was a game where like you played as a girl stuck in a in a creepy old mansion, and you had to. I mean, that probably
Oh,
explains.
that may sound very specific, but no, that's actually a pretty
Yeah,
generic.
that is a. I
Yeah.
realized that when I said it because I was like, that sounds. It's like I know what I'm talking about, and then I explained the premise. I was like, that is very, very generic. That's like the pinnacle of most. That's like most horror games these days.
The creepy
Kind of
girl in the
a meme.
mansion.
Yeah.
It's like friends, like, oh, there's a horror mansion that will probably haunt it. Let's go in and see who dies.
That's the
Oh yeah,
premise.
that's something I always like found.
That's
unusual
sounds like
about
a
horror
great
movies.
That honestly sounds like a premise that would work for today. Do it for the Vine. Or,
I think wasn't there a
Get a
meme
selfie
about-
of the ghost.
Huh?
Get a selfie of a ghost. Not the most craziest things people take selfies of.
the depressing part is you're absolutely right.
Yeah. But what's your favorite moment in that game of yours in The Witch's House?
I don't know. There's a lot of like interesting moments. Can't think of anything that on top of my head. But I guess like the last moment, I think you have 1 minute or 30 seconds to escape the house with a ghost chasing behind you.
Alright, and once if you
You just die.
That sounds about right, to be honest. I was like, what do you expect to happen? It's a horror game where you're playing as like
Yeah.
you die.
Yeah, like
Like that's it.
this.
I've not read a There's only one horror game where one of the endings is you live.
so you win, basically.
No, it's that bit was explicit.
Okay.
If
How's-
anyone likes less horror games, I recommend IB
Okay. Okay.
IB?
or a. Yeah, I don't know. It's an old horror pixel game. It's less horror-y. Awesome.
That sounds very interesting.
Famous. Wait, do you guys know
It's a
I'm too old?
IB. Sorry?
Yeah, I'm a bit too old for that, I think. I don't know what you're talking about with that one. Not gonna lie. It's,
It does have that indie game aesthetic though.
yeah.
I think this
Tell
one's
us about the
about-
development.
Oh, which one?
Tell us about the development of these games.
I do not know. Except it was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 second, my thing just decided to die.
Uh-huh.
My controller, I'm just currently fixing that up on the Steam page. But no, okay, so Witch's House inspired you. Clinton, games that inspired you?
Games? Indie side or just in general?
In general, yeah.
General.
Alright. when I see games, sometimes I get really inspired by the art style of games, even though I haven't played them.
Yeah, no, I can get that.
For example, Cave Story, I was always intrigued by the whole floating island, runaway aesthetic. I don't know, I really like pixel art. I guess that's kind of common sentiment with people like
Yeah, I think
university level students these days.
Yeah, I think pixel art is loved because it's not easy, but it's easier than drawing like full body sprites.
Yeah, so there's pixel art. For gameplay wise, I usually prefer a bit of tactical strategy. In fact, my favorite game of all time, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, had that perfect mix of pixel art, gameplay, and also a surprisingly good story for a Pokemon game.
Yeah, I remember
Now,
playing.
I don't want to focus on my, even though it's my favorite game, I'll talk about it for days, so I have to stop myself before I get too into it.
Wait, does that mean they don't send a 10 years old kid to the world? Like other Pokemon games?
Yeah.
You turn into a Pokemon, so you play as the Pokemon.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's I played that a lot on my DS when I was a kid, and I have decided in my stupidity, seeing as my controller is dead, I am going to try and play Mega Man with a keyboard and mouse and see how that goes. But yeah, so if I die more in this area, it's probably because I suck. But I want to have the excuse that it is because I have a keyboard and mouse. I want a valid excuse.
What stage are you in?
I am playing Bomberman in the first one. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Mega Man 1.
Yeah, Mega Man 1. Yeah, I thought to myself, oh, it's the first game, it's going to be easier. No, it's harder than the rest, I think.
I don't know what you're expecting, man. That's a Nintendo hard back then.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Does anyone play Metal Slug in here?
I used to when I was...
Long time ago.
Yeah, a very long time ago, actually, for me. And my controller is now working at the worst time. And, but it doesn't matter. Oh, God, I will just try and port. But anyway, yeah, I used to play Metal Slug. That was the side-scrolling one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
The first one specifically in, or just the franchise in general? Because I think I played the third one. Yeah. Played at a friend's house. Co-op.
Yeah, that was my experience. I didn't grow up with consoles as a kid. I grew up with I more on the lines grew up with the handhelds. I was a handheld kid.
PSP?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was my favorite game. So on the PS, was on the DS. The World Ends with You. God, I love that game so much. It was so fun to play.
Favorite game?
World Ends with You and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Hey.
It sounds familiar.
It is basically Nomura writing an urban. Nomura, the dude who did Kingdom Hearts, writing an urban fantasy. Where where you play the Reaper's game and you have to save your soul. You have to save yourself in 7 days, but of course it goes on longer than 7 days because anime. And I say because anime, but literally it is anime. It is the most anime-looking thing you'll ever see. Just search it up, and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
As I said, anime.
What about other NDS games you found interesting?
And honestly, and Mystery Dungeon. Let's see what else.
Have you played Advance Wars? Because that was pretty hype back then.
No, I have not. I played Final Fantasy Tactics, the A2, I believe, which was really fun.
Aye.
I also
Let me check.
Yeah, I did. I also did the what was it? The very nice. What was it called? My brain is out. I did the Dragon Quest games that jumped on there. I'm big, as you can probably, as the viewers can probably tell, I'm a big JRPG boy.
Yee! Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, give those to me. I love them. One game I wished, one thing I really wanted to get was a 3DS because I wanted to play the Shin Megami Tensei games. Yeah, but
What about Persona?
Persona was.
Was it console only?
No, there were the PSP, but I didn't get that until didn't get into that until I was like 16, give or take.
Ah, okay.
So
Yeah, I think it was a bit more mature than Shin Megami. So
no,
I feel
Shin
16
Megami
again.
Tensei is. Do not let anyone in the Shin Megami Tensei fandom hear you say that. You'll be skinned alive.
Okay, I will look the other way.
Because what is it? Because apparently Persona is just a dating sim, and Shin Megami Tensei games are the best ones.
I have no idea. I don't know. I think it was the one. I think it was like one episode in the other, but I forgot which was which. So.
It doesn't matter. So so just generally, so we can get somewhat on topic. But you guys, what are the plans for the GDG going forward at the moment? What do you see yourselves doing? Do you have any projects or anything like that going on?
World domination.
Well, that's always ambitious, but very nice start.
Alright.
Our focus will be like just making games for now, and hopefully someday spread it to everyone in the world.
Well, that's a bit more ambitious, but to put it on more grounded terms, basically we want to increase New Zealand population's awareness of game development as a legitimate hobby and profession. And to do that, by changing the University of Auckland students, and it'll lead on to the future.
Okay. Yeah, alright. Yeah, so do you guys think you'll be starting any projects or anything like that in the near future, or anything that you'll be collaborating with the rest of the GDG to do?
Well, we've been looking into collaborating with other clubs.
Any in particular?
I wouldn't want to name it at the moment because it's still WIP. But yeah, our student clubs have a lot of collab potential. Now with coronavirus in our hands, we have quite a bit of free time.
God, not to rant, but it is grim. It is very grim today. It's like
Yeah, grim for you, but for me,
3 more weeks of this, baby. It's gonna be fun.
well, you just gotta take it on the chin and enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah.
Chance of
books.
increasing.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't increase. That would.
But back to that GDG future plans.
Yeah.
Right now we're planning on increasing digital engagement and stuff like that, like this podcast.
Yeah.
Which was, by the way, Alex's idea. Say, Alex, how do you come up with this idea? It's a pretty good idea.
I just sat down and I was like, what do people do when they're bored? We'll listen to podcasts. I was like, okay, this sounds like a good idea. And, no, but it's just... And I died to Bomberman. I literally died to Bomberman. I was on 1 life, and I died in the boss room. This sucks. But no, I just came across this idea because I thought to myself that it's a good way of just communicating, just laying things out, and in a pretty free-flowing format. And hopefully we'll be getting some more guests in after, while this is going on or afterwards.
Anybody in mind, Alex?
People who want to collaborate with, people you've met in the industry, stuff like that. Just want to let, the basic idea to people who are just coming in with this podcast was basically that we would be just letting people know about what's going on game dev wise in New Zealand and just in general. Just letting everyone have a bit of a peek under the hood, so to speak.
Say, maybe we can get in that speaker we brought in the other day for GDG.
That'd be good, yeah. If we can get his number and to get him involved, that sounds perfect.
To give a bit more context, this game developer, Ricky Leong, born in New Zealand, did accounting for University of Auckland, and then after, I believe, like 6 or 7 years, switched to game... actually, no, first... They switched to accounting for a game development company, and then they broke off and started their own with a partner. And now they're doing game development.
A pretty good story.
So it means you don't have to go to MDS to end up in game development. Which is the typical way most people see it.
I guess as long as you have passion,
yeah, that's
anything can happen.
just a comment because that actually got me thinking a bit. What are some things you guys as amateurs would recommend to the people who are just getting started in this industry?
Well, since we're mostly focused on university students, we should probably focus on people who just have an idea but aren't yet willing to go into the industry. I believe there's many advice on that. For the professional advice-wise, we don't need to repeat what they say.
Well, just like ways they could learn, things they could read, stuff like that. Anything?
If you're a student and you're not sure if you want to get into game development, but you really look up to people who do, make a simple game first. Develop, or hell, even Scratch, to get you into the idea of designing games. The designing games is fun, there's no doubt about it. In fact, a lot of people get lured in by the game designing stage. But in order to make games, you have to take it all the way to the finished product.
Okay. Alright, that's good to know. And my controller started working again. But any programs or anything like that you could recommend, or just start with Unity or something and then work from there?
Yeah, so if you're listening to this and you're a university student who's used some programs before, like art programs or otherwise, Unity is really great for incorporating all of those. It's the most popular indie program by far. And if you're in University of Auckland, definitely get Unity because that's what we're teaching. If you're a high school student or younger, probably focus on the little things first. Unity is a pretty steep learning curve, and even so, Unity is simpler than most of its kind. So yeah, just get that first game out there and get your motivation up so you can take steps after step and knock down the big domino that is your favorite game or your dream game to make.
Or there's also like game engines that do not require any like coding. So you can go to those approaches as well as a beginning.
Yeah, Game Maker Studio I believe has visual scripting.
Yep.
Although to be honest, Unity itself is going to have that, but it's still in beta, so have to wait a while for that. Develop, clicking options lets you make games without coding too.
Okay. Well, seeing as this is probably a game engine that a lot of people are seeing around, what is your thoughts on Unreal Engine? I think I got that right.
Unreal Engine?
Yeah. I think that's what they made Devil May Cry with, actually.
Well, I'm not too certain about what games are made in that. I do know that there's this very common perception that Unreal is for like the big boys, while Unity is for like the little fish, indie developers and the like.
Yeah.
But I believe that is a bit unfair because AAA studios, like lots of them have their own in-house development teams. It doesn't necessarily have to use Unreal Engine. And for example, like Battlefield with their Cry engine, they just make your own. And
I'm pretty sure Platinum has their own engine, don't they? Platinum Games.
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, it's a pretty famous one because of the fluidity of action sequences and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I remember playing Automata with that, and that was great. Oh, come on! Oh, great! I did it! I managed to kill Bomb Man!
Walk. Stage 2.
Yeah, no, there's no stage 2. I won. The stage 2 is for the next games.
Mega Man 2. Oh boy, play Mega Man 2 next podcast.
Why not?
No.
Why not?
Hey, it'll be slightly easier, that's for sure.
Yeah, probably. The weirdest thing with this is getting used to the fact I've got no charge shot. Okay, got that right.
Maybe next time we have a competition.
Oh, that'll be.
Well, we could always get in a drinking game, which would probably kill me, but that'd be fun. That'd be enjoyable.
Who can finish the stage quickest?
Well, if you've got Mega Man, sure, let's give it a shot.
I hope.
But that Unreal Engine distinction, I believe, it's a bit of a trade-off between game engines.
What's the trade-off for Unreal?
Pros and cons.
The Unreal Engine is a lot harder to learn. It has a way steeper learning curve.
Yeah.
And
what is the main difference? Because you've got me interested now. What is like the main fundamental difference between their technical specs from a dev perspective? Like
okay, so Unreal Engine is a lot more focused towards professionals who do the art workflows and consider high-res assets and stuff like that. It also has different shader effects that are more catered towards people familiar with working with complex art. Shaders, occlusion, lighting, stuff like that. But not only that, it also has blueprints, which lets you create games easier, much like Unity's Playground, except more comprehensive. But as I was saying before, the trade-off is the learning curve. Now, you may think, oh, learning curve, who cares? Once I learn it, it's all good. But the fact is, game development has so many different aspects to it that if you were just starting out in game development and you did Unreal Engine, you'll spend all your time learning and very little actually doing. You probably forget like what you learned once you say, for example, once you learned how to do complex shaders. Unless you actively use that skill, you're probably going to forget it once you learn, say, animation or something.
So it's a bit like.
And I'm saying this from scratch.
So it's a bit like drawing. If you're like you gotta learn. If you're doing anime, learn how to do anime. If you want to learn how to do real, basically. Because
Yeah, basically, I'm just like distilling down the fact that Unreal Engine has a steeper learning curve.
Yeah.
Steep learning curve has a cost. Let's just say.
Speaking of, I remember this. I remember this because I grabbed it when it was. I think it was on sale. But I don't remember what price it was. But Game Maker Studio, what's that like for the educated?
Alright.
It's more 2D based, if I remember correctly. I think it's more easier learning curves than Unity.
But again, the trade-off would probably be that you don't have as much freedom in terms of playing and things like that, do you?
I wouldn't say freedom. I really haven't seen too much about Game Maker studios, but I believe you could do quite a bit. It's just that it would take a while longer. I'm actually not sure on this, so don't quote me on this, but there's also different focuses too.
Yeah.
Visual scripting is one of its focuses, so if you want to do visual scripting, Game Maker Studio probably supports that a lot better than whenever Unity gets it. And probably same for Unreal Engine.
Okay.
Although they've had visual scripting already.
With, any game engine, as long as you have a good idea, I guess, and commitment.
Speaking of games, you mentioned your passion is horror games. What kind of engine would work well for you if you wanted to go to horror games? And I decided because I hate myself, I'd do Iceman's level, and I hate myself.
I guess for 2D will be either Game Maker, Unity, or RPG Maker, but
Oh, for prototyping, RPG Maker would be okay.
but it's not free.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, uni students, we have to worry about costs. Because life
It's
is...
free. Unreal is free too.
RPG Maker
As
is
long
not.
as you don't get money.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some assets you could take online to speed up the process. RPG Maker, it costs money because most of the systems are already developed. And it's very, very specific towards one thing, that is tile-based RPGs. Or some... well, it doesn't necessarily have to be tile-based movement. I've seen some games that focus on the side-by-side combat, just like in Final Fantasy.
Okay, yeah. Side combat is honestly one of my favorite things in RPGs. I'm not gonna lie. But I think the one of the games that did it best actually was the side-to-side turn-based was Persona. Persona 5 got that right in my mind.
Really? What parts of it?
No, sorry, maybe not turn-based like that old style, but they just changed it a bit. Trying to think of the right words. They made turn-based combat fun again. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Because they weren't trying to make it real time as some games try to do. They just made it really basic and really simple. But they also made it really fun because you could do so much with your personas.
Was it the interplay between the stats or
interplay between the
effects?
stats and the effects? Yeah. My favorite thing they reintroduced back into the franchise was the negotiations. I love doing those. Because I much preferred that over Persona 4's card-based stuff. You remember that? Where it's like, oh, you've got to magically pick a card, and if it's not the right card, then good luck, buckaroo.
Although that's kind of like, that reminds me of card games and how RNG can screw you over sometimes.
Yeah.
Although actually more times than necessary. Actually, we have someone else in the exec who's pretty interested in card games. Perhaps we could bring him up next time.
Oh, that'd be fun, yeah. The one thing I remember with card games is starting Yu-Gi-Oh! And it starts like really simple, and then by the end it got completely busted. Like, that is my experience with card games. Is I remember playing stuff like Magic when I was a kid. And then like it got to a certain point where certain cards would get so completely busted that the game wasn't fun to play anymore.
Was that a case of power creep or just like a simple mistake in testing?
I think that was a simple mistake in testing because I jumped out of Magic when the slivers came along, and apparently they've been nerfed now, so they're not as bad as they were when I got into the game. But at the same time, they killed a lot of interest for me personally, because it was like there's this all of a sudden this big race of monsters who can destroy me in 5 seconds. And it's like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. That's not fun. Then again,
Actually, that's a pretty interesting topic to talk about. The scene power levels of a game and how willing the developers are to change the balance completely from one meta to the next, or from one update to the next.
well,
Happens a lot more in card games than others.
I think that you do see that in MMOs as well, to an extent. Maybe not as bad as card games, because if it was as bad as card games is with MMOs, people would be cancelling their subscriptions. Because it'd be like, oh god, what the fuck? What is this bullshit? Half my items just overnight become worthless and been banned.
Yeah, that's the risk of subscribing to those kind of games, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean,
Depends on the history of the devs.
Speaking of, actually, I can tell you one of the funniest experience I've ever had with a card game was there is a Pacific card in Magic, I think it was, where it had the effect of taking 14 cards out, 7 cards out of your deck per turn or something, and it was ridiculously broken. Jace, it was a Jace card, I think, and anyone who just played Magic groaned because Jace is one of the worst creatures and planeswalkers in Magic consistently. He is consistently broken.
Well, there's always broken characters.
Yeah,
The trick is how do devs fix it and make sure it doesn't, leave to make a mass exodus of players.
well, that's what happened with Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, I think, because I think one card, what was it, the Black Luster, the Chaos decks got so ridiculously busted that no one was playing the game anymore. Because you would just win automatically, and suddenly all the old strategies have been thrown out because, like, what is the point? What is the point of playing these types of games? Because this strategy anymore? Because my opponent can just summon a card in one turn and totally destroy me.
First turn, one turn kill cards, or is it just a first turn kill card?
It was like
Combos.
It wasn't first turn kill cards. It was like once you got this card, you almost always won. Because it was like
Look at the draw, right? Look at the draw.
Does that mean if you manage to not lose against the card, you will become legendary?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, because it got to the point where I think the conditions was you had to sacrifice a couple of cards, and in exchange, I hate Iceman's level so much, but it's a sidetrack. But you had to sacrifice a couple of cards, but the summoning conditions were you were able to do them on the first turn, which in turn doesn't work. Because if you get that card in your first turn, your opponent's got no way of defending, and that kills kills the fun.
I'm pretty sure Yu-Gi-Oh has many examples of similarly weird cards. Like,
can I just say, Yu-Gi-Oh is that game where I was like, I tried to get back into it a year ago, and like there was suddenly all these conditions like synchro summons and star summon.
well, hopefully you didn't get any physical sets.
No, I did not get any physical sets. I was like to myself, said to myself, do I hate myself and my wallet enough to get into this? And I decided that no, I really didn't. And I fucking hate Iceman. No, that's bullshit. Fuck you.
Relax, Joe.
No,
Language.
No, this is bullshit.
Content.
This is bullshit.
Beep.
I got sent back to hell.
Okay. Perhaps play a more chiller game on the side next time.
Yeah, I'll play Dark Souls next time. That'll chill me out.
I think it's good time to wrap up as well.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty late now.
Yeah, fair enough. But no, good stream. Hopefully we'll get someone else. We'll get someone on the podcast next time and have some fun. And I'm bailing out of this now, so I'll chat to you guys later.
Alright, thanks, Alex.
Tell me when you win.
Yeah, I'll call you. Bye.